Hello, Blue Jays fans, and welcome to Sunny Side of the Dome. I'm your host, Karen Soutar, and I'll be here to talk some Blue Jays baseball with you for the next half hour or so. Sunny Side of the Dome is brought to you by Jays from the Couch. We stream live Thursdays at 6 p.m., and you can find us on Jays from the Couch's Facebook page, YouTube channel, or Twitter page. And if you are following along line and you think of a question or comment, please do send it on in. I love the interaction with the listeners. I think it makes the show that much better. And if you're not following along live, but you still want to see what I have to say this week, that's great. When you're ready for us, we're ready for you. You can catch the archive version on any one of those media, so Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and you can also download and listen to us as a podcast. So great to have those options anywhere you find your quality podcasts. And if you like the content here at Sunny Side of the Dome, there's lots more where that came from. There's the other shows, so the main podcast, that's Monday evenings, hosted by Shaun Doyle, senior editor, founder of Jays from the Couch. He's always got lots of interesting stuff in store, and fake news, which is really funny. We try to entertain and inform and all of that. And the other show that you should definitely check out, you probably are by now, is the On Fact Circle. That's Tuesday evenings at 6 p.m., hosted by Steve Feck, my very unique colleague. He's experienced, intelligent, funny, outside the box, very unique. And there's no one else like him out there. So definitely check that out. The On Fact Circle, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. And hello, Blue Jays fans. Happy Thursday evening. How's everybody doing and enjoying the new year so far? I hope we're getting that much closer to baseball. We're more than halfway through January, so that's great. February is a short month, and it's also when spring training starts. So our game is coming back to us, hopefully soon. I know if you're anything like me, you can't wait, but it is coming. So yes. So if you recall, those of you who saw last week's episode, or 2 weeks ago's episode, I believe I ended it by saying something on the lines of, hopefully the Jays will have some nice transaction or transactions that we can talk about in a couple of weeks. Well, something definitely did happen. So leading off the biggest news of the last 2 weeks, transaction-wise, is that the Blue Jays made a free agent signing. And this was on January the 10th. And they signed a veteran hitter, Brandon Belt, to a 1-year contract. Brandon is, he's interesting. He's 34 years old. He'll be 35 this April. He's a left-hand hitter. And we know how much the Blue Jays have wanted left-hand hitting for, I don't even know how long. I mean, we've been hearing about it for at least the past couple of seasons. Yes, Belt, prior to coming to the Blue Jays for this 1 year, has spent his entire major league career with the San Francisco Giants. And that's between 2011 and 2022. So that being the case, if you remember a decade ago, they called the Giants the even year dynasty because the entire Giants team won the World Series in 2010, 2012, and 2014. So Belt was a part of those teams in 2012 and 2014. Just hearing about him, hearing the things he's had to say so far and all of that, he seems like somewhat of a clubhouse leader, so that's great. It's great to have somebody that's been there and done that. I mean, he's already out there saying that the Blue Jays should be World Series favorites, and well, thank you very much for your positive attitude. I wish I agreed with that, but yeah, I mean, this has got to be a year that they go for it and do absolutely everything that they can to win. So it sounds like it's going to be great to have him on board. Now, Belt, in his career, he has played some outfield, not since 2019. And honestly, although I don't remember having seen much of him play, but at his age, being 34, 35, probably not the best idea having him out there playing outfield. He seems like he's primarily a first baseman or DH at this point. In fact, in his introductory press conference, he said that the Jays told him that they would use him a fair bit of time at DH. He also might play first base here and there, give Guerrero a day off when he needs it. Hopefully, he won't need too many of them. But I am encouraged by this signing. So Belt basically last year, he had a down season. He was injured for a lot of the season, and then he ended up having season-ending surgery in early September. His numbers last year offensively, that they were a career worst for him. I think it was weighted runs created of 96, and even that is just slightly below average. His career numbers, 124 weighted runs created, and that is quite good. The previous two seasons prior to 2022, he hit very, very well if you look at his stats. Now, I don't know, he says that he feels great and he thinks he should be able to get back to that production, and really not, very few things would be better for the Jays than were that to actually happen. Coming off of injury and with his age, maybe he won't be that productive again. But even if you split the difference between what he did in 2021 and 2022, that's still a very, very well above average hitter from the left side of the plate. And it's something the Blue Jays really want. They want to give their lineup more balance. They've added other left-handed hitters, Kevin Kiermaier, Dalton Varsho, but neither of them in their careers have done anything with the bat that is consistently as good as what Brandon Belt has. So I think this could give the Jays something they really need. I'm not worried about, I know some people say, oh, but the Jays haven't really had a DH the past few years. They rotated to give guys a day off. But I mean, if you've got a hitter that's could be, hopefully will be as good as Belt has been in his career and hopefully can be again for at least this 1 year, then I think it's worth it. I really think, I mean, I wasn't happy, haven't been happy that they traded away Gurriel and Hernandez without replacing their offense. Well, Brandon Belt has a chance to make up for at least one of those missing bats, and from the left side of the plate, they could have more balance. This could really end up being a good signing. So fingers crossed. Excuse me a second. All right, so that was the main transaction. Some others. So to make room for Brandon Belt on the 40-man roster, the Blue Jays designated for assignment Julian Merryweather. And ultimately, Merryweather was claimed by the Chicago Cubs, so he's now out of the organization. Julian Merryweather, I mean, he's 30 years old now. He played in 47 games for the Blue Jays over the last 3 seasons, pitched to a 564 earned run average, 436 FIP, and his career strikeouts per 9 innings is 8.5, which for someone who has or had the arm that Merryweather did when the Blue Jays acquired him, it's really not the performance that I'm sure they were hoping for. Blue Jay fans, everybody knows that he was the return when they traded away Josh Donaldson, who had been league MVP. He was very popular with the fans at the time anyway. And yeah, it's very unfortunate. Merryweather, he had a hard time staying healthy. And then even when he did stay healthy, the results really weren't there, unfortunately. So best of luck, and what's going on over in Chicago with these Cubs. I mean, are they scooping up every former Blue Jays pitcher that they can? I mean, there was Anthony Kay, Julian Merryweather. Before that, there was Ryan Barucki, and they've even got Marcus Stroman. So yeah, call them Blue Jay South or something. Anyway, okay, so yes, all the best to Julian Merriweather. Jay's also made a trade that's you might or might not have heard about because it wasn't as big a maker, excuse me. They acquired a pitcher, a right-handed pitcher, Zach Thompson, from the Pirates in exchange for a minor league outfield prospect, Chavez Young. So Chavez Young, I'd heard about him. I'm familiar with him somewhat. I never actually saw him play. Basically, from what I understand, he is a very, very, very good defensive outfielder. Even in the minor leagues, he has somewhat struggled to hit. So I, yeah, excuse me. Yeah, his hitting numbers, even in minor league baseball, weren't anything to turn cartwheels about, unfortunately. So who knows if he makes the major leagues at some point, and if he does, he probably profiles more as a fourth outfielder, someone who can come in as needed, give you some good defense, and so forth. So all the best to Chavez Young. But yeah, so the Blue Jays gave him up in order to get Zach Thompson, a right-handed pitcher. Now, Thompson is interesting. He's 28 years old. He actually has options, so that's one of the things about him I like. That if he doesn't end up making the team, that they can just send him to AAA and they don't have to risk losing him from the organization. Career earned run average of 4.44, so not great, but not terrible either. He kind of I looked year by year, and his results have kind of bounced up and down. Steve, actually, who hosts the On Fact Circle, when the trade was announced, he actually commented that maybe Thompson could even be a fifth starter. And coming from Pittsburgh, where Steve lives, I'm sure he's seen him play a lot more than I have, which is probably not much, if anything. So yeah, maybe that's someone to keep an eye on. Not necessarily someone that's going to go out and knock anybody's socks off, but maybe he could actually help the team, even if it was in a particular role or whatever that is. So that's pretty much what's gone on the last couple of weeks. Oh, and also when they acquired Zach Thompson, they needed room for him on the 40-man roster, so they designated for assignment Junior Fernandez, and they just claimed him off of waivers not all that long ago. So they went and DFA'd him. Somehow he cleared waivers, and now he's been assigned outright to AAA Buffalo. So you remember a couple of years ago, I think it was Joel Payamps, when the Blue Jays and was it the Red Sox, and they kept going back and forth, claim him and then DFA him, and then the other team claim him and then DFA him, and he just kept bouncing back and forth and back and forth. I don't know how many times in the off season. So this to me is what an organization does when they see a pitcher or a player, but in both cases it's been a pitcher, and they think, okay, maybe he could play a role on this team. Maybe he's a project. Maybe they can get something out of him. On the other hand, as he is right now, he might not necessarily be our top choice to occupy a 40-man roster spot. Maybe we'd rather keep him at AAA, see if we can work on him, bring out some better results from him, and call him up either as needed or if he really takes a big step forward. So in doing that, what they want to do is be able to DFA him and see if they can sneak him through waivers. And this time they did it. So way to go, Blue Jays. Yeah, for Fernandez numbers, I had a look. I mean, people say he has a really good arm. His numbers so far really haven't said all that much, but you know what? He's still young, and maybe they can try to get something out of him. Anyway, so those are the transactions. And now for the herd of the order tonight. So a couple weeks ago, I was talking about an overview of the team, where they are at this point in the off season, and I focused on the position players. So I said basically there were two with 13 spots. In the position players, there were 11 guys that, if everybody's healthy, we pretty much know they're going to be on the roster. Well, now they've got 12 with the addition of Brandon Belt. So there'll just be one more. So whether they fill that externally by free agent signing or trade, or whether a prospect ends up making the team, that has yet to be seen. So this evening, what I want to do is I want to talk about the state of the Blue Jays pitching staff. So as everybody knows, prior to September 1st, you've got a roster of 28 guys. And because there is a maximum of 13 pitchers, and presumably everybody uses the maximum, I'm sure the Jays will. Nothing to say that you can't go with maybe 12 and 14 position players, but I don't think they're going to do that. So you're looking at 13 pitchers, which means you've got your 5-man rotation, and then aside from that, your other 8 pitchers are in the bullpen. So who have they got? Who's going to play what roles and so forth? Knock on wood 100 times. Hopefully everybody will be healthy and pitching up to their capability. And that being the case, we know who 1 through 4 is going to be. That's Alek Manoah, Kevin Gausman, Chris Bassitt, who was signed this offseason as a free agent, and Jose Barrios. So honestly, I feel pretty good about them 1 through 4 in the rotation. I mean, Manoah's great. I think he's going to be a perennial all-star, and I'm sure glad that he's wearing a Blue Jays uniform. Kevin Gausman was a terrific free agent signing. I mean, he came in after Robbie Ray won the Cy Young Award in 2021 and ended up leaving. And myself, I wasn't sure about Kevin Gausman, and honestly, he was so much better. I'm so glad he was a great get for the Jays. Chris Bassitt is a good established starting pitcher, so I feel quite good with him taking over the spot that Ross Stripling filled last year. No, I did not want to push Ross Stripling out the door. I would have loved to have had him back, either him and not Bassitt, or maybe even both of them. That would have been great as far as I'm concerned. That didn't happen for some reason. I I don't really understand the ifs and the whys and the this and the that. But anyway, all the best to Ross Stripling with the San Francisco Giants, and Chris Bassitt is now a Blue Jay for the next 3 seasons. And then Jose Barrios, who I still very much believe in. I really think that he's going to have a bounce back season in 2023. I mean, as far as we know, he was healthy last season, and he has been such a consistent pitcher prior to 2022. He's an MLB veteran. He always goes out and pitches well. And last year, I mean, it's funny because his numbers, his overall numbers weren't good last year, but by my observation, by watching the games that he pitched, about 2/3 of the time, his game results were decent to good. And even if there were some hard hit balls, the defense managed to make plays behind him. What I care about is winning games. I care about getting outs. And even if that means utilizing your defense, that's what they're there for. So we will see how it goes with Jose Barrios. Unfortunately, last season, when he was bad, he was really bad. Such as opening day, he couldn't even get out of the darn first inning there, and the offense had to bail him out. Excuse me. But yeah, I like having the 4 of them as our 1 through 4, and hopefully they will be the 1 through 4 for as much as possible of the season, because yeah, because health and all of that's always a factor. Then there's your 5th starter. So Hyun-Jin Ryu, as we know, had Tommy John surgery last June. I'm not even counting on Hyun-Jin Ryu for anything. If the Blue Jays get anything further from him on a pitching mound at this point, then that'll be gravy as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he's not coming back until at least June, but then he's got to start baseball activities. He's got to start throwing, go on a rehab assignment, be deemed fit to pitch in a major league game. And then if the Blue Jays do activate him, how effective will he be with that much time off, coming off of Tommy John surgery? And so all remains to be seen. So who is their 5th starter? Right now, I think your top candidates have got to be Yusei Kikuchi and Mitch White. Now, unfortunately, neither of them did much of anything great for the Blue Jays when they pitched for them in 2022. I'd love to cheer for both of them. I mean, they're Toronto Blue Jays. I'd love to see them both go out there, and at the end of spring training, it's like, well, they both pitch great. What are we going to do? We've got this huge problem. We don't know which one to choose. That's what I want to see. I, excuse me, not betting a ton of money that that's what we will see, just based on the results we've seen from them. So we'll see. I'm thinking spring training will be almost like an open audition to see who takes that fifth starter spot. So White, unfortunately, does not have minor league options. He did in 2022, but not anymore. So if he doesn't make the rotation, then he's pretty much going to be a long man, swing man out of the bullpen, and it takes up a bullpen spot, and the Blue Jays really need to build a good bullpen. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. I mentioned Zach Thompson earlier. He could be in the mix for a fifth rotation spot. Who knows? And the good news is that he does have options. So if he doesn't make the cut as far as the fifth starter, they can have him in the rotation at AAA, see how he does. He can be the first one out or called up if somebody gets injured. We'll see about that. And then there was an interesting minor league deal signing a while back that they signed a number of guys, including, do you remember Drew Hutchison? I do. Yeah, it would be interesting if he still has enough in the tank that he could even be the fifth starter. So I'm sure they didn't sign him to not have a look at him. So we'll see which one of them it is. I keep saying I'd love to see them go out and get somebody that's a little bit better just to shore up that rotation. It doesn't have to be great, just somebody so that you're not having bullpen days almost every fifth day, which is too much. You burn them out, and we need the relief pitching for the season, hopefully for the playoffs, and hopefully for a deep run in the playoffs. So that's your rotation. What about the bullpen? So you've got your 8 pitchers. The ones that we know are going to be there, assuming that they're healthy, again, knock on wood, is Jordan Romano, all-star closer, had a fantastic season, hoping for the best from him, and no reason to expect anything different. Anthony Bass, they acquired him at the deadline last season. He's very, very good. Jimmy Garcia, fantastic signing in the offseason. Honestly, he did so well last season, so he'll definitely have some leverage innings there. And as well, the return that they did get when they traded away Teoscar Hernandez is relief pitcher Erik Swanson. Swanson had a terrific season last year. Hopefully he continues to pitch that well, and maybe even takes it to the next level if there's another level in there, because they didn't really use him in a lot of leverage innings and all that. So maybe he's someone who can be a leverage pitcher. So that's 4. White and Kikuchi are not both going to be in the rotation at the same time unless somebody else is injured. I should have made a recording, knock on wood, because I've said it how many times this episode? A few. Anyway, so yeah, if they're both in the rotation, there's something going wrong. If everything's good, then only one of them are in the rotation, which means that the other one is going to be in the bullpen. My prediction is that Kikuchi probably has the inside track for the rotation spot, because of his contract and all that. I don't know, though. I've got this funny feeling about Kikuchi in the bullpen. When he pitched in the bullpen late last season, and especially toward the end, I think he found something. As a relief pitcher, I've just got this thing in my head that says Yusei Kikuchi, relief pitcher extraordinaire. So see if it actually happens that way. Stay tuned, as they say. All right, so then you've got 5 spots. There's only 3 more spots. And there's definitely more than 3 more candidates. So Adam Simber, who's been a Blue Jay for a year and a half, has done everything that they've asked of him. Unique delivery with the sidearm there. Not a huge strikeout pitcher, but he gets outs. He just doesn't get a lot of strikeouts. So there's him. Tim Meza has been a Blue Jay. I think he's probably been a Blue Jay the longest at this point. I'd have to double check that. But as of right now, he's the only left handed pitcher that they've got down there in the bullpen. Overall, in his Blue Jays career, he's been quite good. So I'm guessing there's a spot for him. And then you've got Trevor Richards, who they got in a trade back in during 2021. Pitched well in 2021, not as well in 2022. He was very inconsistent. He got a lot of strikeouts. Most of his other numbers overall weren't very good. But yeah, so he's another one to watch. I wish he had options, but he doesn't. So it's not like they can hide him at AAA until they need him if he doesn't make the roster. Zach Pop has got an elite arm. He's got terrific stuff, and he's someone that maybe could be a leverage relief pitcher for the Blue Jays in the future. He's someone that he's pitching wise, he's done everything right other than get a lot of strikeouts, which is unusual for someone who throws high 90s. And yeah, I mean, for the talent that he has, I don't know why he's not getting more strikeouts, and I wonder if they want to work with him this spring training and see if they could do something, maybe with his pitch selection, pitch mix, and so forth. But he does have options. I'd like to see him on the team, but to preserve organizational depth, I could see him maybe getting option, which would be too bad. So we're already up to 9 guys, only for 8 spots, and that's not all that there is. There's other candidates. There's Nate Pearson. Remember him? He pitched at Winter Ball, actually pitched very well. There's Yasver Zulueta. Have you heard that name? If you haven't, you definitely will. Zuluech is from Cuba. He's pitched in the minor leagues, actually pitched 4 different minor league stops last year, touches 100 at times, get lots and lots of strikeouts. Started out the year, wasn't walking that many. Later in the year, the walk totals started going up more. Was he fatigued? Do they maybe need to watch his usage? I don't know, but there's talk that he could definitely be in the mix in 2023 at some point. So we've got depth options. And in spite of that, there are people that think that they should still go out and maybe acquire somebody else. One name that I've heard linked to the Jays as a possible free agent signing is Alex Reyes. So he's rather interesting. He's 28 years old. He's a free agent. He has a very good career earned run average of 2.86. He was with the Cardinals from 2016 through 2021. He missed all of last season, unfortunately, with shoulder surgery, and he's dealt with injuries over his career. So I guess the Cardinals figured they could no longer wait on him, and he's a free agent. So will somebody sign him soon? Will that someone be the Blue Jays? What does he have left in the tank? Stay tuned for the answer to these and other questions. So yeah, lots of possibilities for the bullpen there. Hopefully the Blue Jays will sort it out and make the best choices that they can. This almost brings me to the end of this episode, which means that it's time for Through Blue Jay Colored Glasses. So try to make this brief. It's been a very interesting off season, lots of changes, and they might not necessarily be done. They might still add, even if it's a position player for that last position player spot. I keep hearing the name Robbie Grossman, who hits left-handed pitching very well, possibly an effective platoon with somebody like Dalton Varsho, who hits actually pretty well against right-handed pitcher, but not against left-handed pitching in his career so far. So that could be a very interesting ad. It's been very interesting to watch it unfold, see the different moves that they've made, see the way they're obviously trying to construct the roster. In the past, over the past few seasons, they were a right-hand hitting, mashing team. And they had some flaws in terms of defense, particularly in the outfield, base running, some of their pitching. And now it really seems like they've tried to address those needs the best that they can. They're really trying to become a more versatile team with a lot of different ways to beat the opposition. So personally, I think it could go either way. I see this team as having a high ceiling if everything goes right, and obviously I really hope it will, being a diehard Blue Jay fan, so lots to keep an eye on as the off season is winding up, and it's going to be spring training soon. So, on that note, that's all I've got for you this evening. Go Blue Jays. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you again in a couple weeks. It could be another move.